Hey y'all, hope everybody's doing good today. I just wanted to talk to you today about bullying. It happens in teenagers, it happens in adults, it happened with me. I was a bully. I've inflicted pain on people by making fun of them and teasing them and pointing fingers at them and I it was awful. I hated my old self. If I could go back in time, I'd slap myself over and over and over again for the things that I've done to people, the pain that I've inflicted on people. You know, um, I didn't realize that I was actually contributing to their self-esteem. I was um, I was a bully, and I didn't even realize what I was doing back then. I thought that making fun of other people, would make me feel better, and now it makes me feel like crap. You know, I have actually went back and apologized to people for messing with them. One girl in particular, I remember she was part of a foster home in the town that I lived in, and they had a lot of kids. And I remember she used to stand at her window every day, and I'd walk past her house, and it was like she was standing there waiting on me to walk past to make fun of her, to yell things at her, to hurt her. And if my parents knew what kind of bully that I was back then, um, they would have been very, very upset with me. I know, and I found her on Facebook a couple years ago, and I wrote her and I apologized for hurting her and inflicting pain on her. At the time, I didn't realize that she, was in a home that was full of love. This foster family loved these kids. And I had a little jealousy going on because I wanted that kind of love. I wanted my parents to come up to me and hug me and love me. My parents did love me, but you always want what other kids have. Most kids do. I try to teach my kids not to bully, and accept people where they're at in life. I want my kids to have an individual life. If they don't want to wear the name brand clothes, then they don't have to. And both of my kids went through that. Where they seen other kids wearing stuff, and they thought that they would be more accepted in society if they had those name brand clothes. But like my son said, Mama, he said, nobody's ever walked up to me and said, oh, I like your Aeropostale shirt, because they all had one on too, and he just wanted to be his individual person, and he would wear different, unique t-shirts. He went through the stage of highlighting his hair when he was 13. He had his ears pierced, and then he went through the rock and roll t-shirt stage, and then he long hair stage, and he grew out of all that. He's 22, he's got his hair cut short, and he's looking into his future, and he dresses nicely, and Allison's the same way. She's got her own thing going on with her style, and I just hope that she's never bullied, and and I know that she will never bully anybody else. She loves the person by their heart, the way that we taught them. Well, I wanted to read a story to you that I had wrote. It's just a little snack of the story. I'm going to be adding to it, but this is the result of bullying. So here it goes. I hope you enjoy. It's entitled Free from Pain. For as long as Renee could remember, she would inflict herself with pain. At first, she started out bruising herself and eventually turned into cutting. It would be nothing for her to see a nail sticking out of the wall and have the urge to run her arm across it and make a deep cut. You see, cutting helped Renee release the anger and pain and made her feel much better. Renee grew up in a house of physical and emotional abuse. Growing up in a sad home caused her to have low self-esteem. She was put down, told she was worthless. She felt ugly and didn't even feel that she could look in the mirror without feeling fat. Renee had a hard time trusting people. Most of the people in her life hurt her, but one person that she allowed herself to get close to was her grandfather. She loved him so much. He was a very big part of Renee's life. He would buy her stuff, take her places. They would go on trips together. For years and years, he was one of the most important people in her life. When she was around him, she felt so important. He always made her feel good. Renee and her grandfather had a bond that couldn't be broken. So she thought. Renee had no idea her world would come crashing down on her and her life would forever be changed. Renee trusted her grandfather, and he knew she did. Renee had no control when her grandfather started molesting her at 13 years old. She never had a word of fear of a reaction of her family that loved this man. He was such a frequent visitor, and everyone loved her grandfather. As years went by, Renee developed an eating disorder that she still struggles with today. She can go a week without eating, and when she does, she throws up. Food is her enemy. Food is what makes the image in the mirror she hates to see. Renee has been through a lot in 33 years, abuse in many forms. She's had sexual contact with over 50 men, and she had a child that passed away. She dropped out of school, ran away from home, overdosed on pills. From cutting herself to hating herself, she is learning that she is a strong person who is a survivor. Without her children and family, Renee would likely be dead. Renee has a battle going on the inside of her. She once had a relationship with God, but when her baby died, she turned her back on him. She knows God will win this battle for her. She just has to learn to give him complete control of her life again. We all have a Renee in us. We all have been bullied. We all have been messed with. If I've ever bullied you, I apologize from the deepness of my heart. I am so sorry. I never would ever contribute with pain with you right now, as the person I am today. But think about this before you go judging people and pointing fingers at people and hurting people. You could cause somebody to cut themselves. You could cause somebody to be anorexia. You can cause somebody to hurt themselves in a way that, maybe even commit suicide. So before you start hurting and judging and pointing fingers at people, think about that. Think about the consequences of your action, because their blood is on your hands if you contribute in this, if you contribute in bullying. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the story, and have a good day. Love y'all. Hey y'all, I was just going to introduce the beginning of my book to you. This is my introduction. And after I read this, I want to read my story. And I'm just giving you a little snack of stories, the beginning of the stories in the next few videos. I'm going to be finishing the stories up. I hope you enjoy. Imagine living in a life where everything and everyone was perfect. Everyone lived around each other and had no idea what hate, anger, vengeance, violence, or strife was. Nobody ever heard of the words rape, murder, abortion, prostitution, or abuse. Drugs like crack, cocaine, marijuana, and heroin was not even thought of. This life is only for the imagination. In this book, you will read stories about real people that have dealt with the unimaginable circumstances, fought for their lives, and buried pain in the depths of their souls for years. Carried secrets because they were too ashamed to admit that they were victims. They did nothing wrong to deserve the sufferings they encountered. You will meet men and women who have been sexually abused. You will meet a young mom who had no other choice but to have an abortion because her parents were afraid to be called unfit. You will meet a young woman, a mom, who became addicted to heroin and stood on a street corner just to feed her next fix. You will meet a young lady that cut herself daily just to cover her pain. Meet a man who was sexually abused by his father till he was 14 years old. These are just a few stories of people like you and I. So before passing judgment, think past your own pain and reach out to someone that is worse off than you. We need to break all generational curses. Change the way we think from negative to positive. Love those that don't deserve to be loved. Imagine yourself in a place of these people, then imagine someone reaching out to help you. Now I want to read you my story from when I was younger. I titled the story Little Girl Lost Then Found. People say time heals all wounds. I say forgiveness and love does. I didn't ask to be born, but I was to a 16-year-old mother and a 19-year-old father, and was exposed to abuse at a very young age. When I was 4, my parents divorced. My mom packed our station wagon in the middle of the night, and we left my dad. When I was 7, my mom took me to my dad's house with a garbage bag full of clothes. He was 16 years old at the time, who would eventually become my stepmother. My mom told my dad she couldn't handle me anymore. I asked too many questions. This is the same year I was given my first joint to smoke. The adults in my life thought it was funny to get me high and watch me devour a whole bowl of spaghetti. I remember my babysitter watching me and smoking with me at 8 years old. By the time I was 11, I was molested by a man that had been in my life since I was born. He earned my trust and took advantage of my innocence. Abuse and marijuana have always been a natural part of my life. I never realized until I met my husband what a normal life was. I met my husband when I was 18 and he was 26. I know that God put him in my life to save a messed up young girl. My mentality has been built on divorce, abuse, drugs, lies, drama, jealousy, revenge, hate, anger, and trust. I was a little girl lost. At the age of 26, I got saved. This is when my forgiveness process started. I wrote 5 letters to 5 people asking them to forgive me for the feelings I had toward them. When they read the letters, peace filled my heart, and I was at the beginning of a positive lifelong journey that would still continue today. Forgiving those that hurt you does not help them but helps you. Love, peace, joy, happiness, truth, kindness are what you reap when you sow in forgiveness. My passion in life is to love more, inspire more, encourage more. And 2005 was the beginning of a renewed mind. I taught myself to stop thinking negative and to start thinking positive. I learned to see people in the different perspectives. People need love, and if I have it to give, I'm sharing my love. Today I have a wonderful husband, Paul, of 22 years, an awesome son, Joshua, and a beautiful daughter, Allison. My relationship with my parents, Carl and Susan, is incredible. I love my sisters and my brothers, Kimberly, Amanda, Angela, Sarah, and Jessica, and my 2 brothers, Joseph and Matthew, with my whole heart. I was blessed with the most beautiful, wonderful in-laws I could ever imagine, Billy Kahn and Pauline Terry. They have been a blessing in my life these last 25 years. I also have 3 great sister-in-laws and 5 great brother-in-laws and a bunch of nieces and nephews, and my life is pretty amazing. Hope you enjoyed.